This is Weird Renegade Witches blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done. Of course, you're going to hear a lot of background of friction and energies because it's hot and the fan is on. So, of course, you're going to hear some noises. However, 101 lessons are going to start next week. 101 monthly lessons, that is. However, it doesn't stop you for booking 101 lessons where I work closely with individuals, get their energy straight, focus on what their life goals. It could be from advocating, whatever they need, branding, image, work, and so on. And understand work is separate from, of course, the 101 lessons. And the 101 lessons is more of like a spiritual psychology, working together, having a clear understanding of what's going on. Sometimes I work with people every single day. So that is the energy of that. And understand that is through FaceTime and Zoom. So, of course, you see the phone number there, contact it on the website, and I believe on the YouTube channel in the description area, the number is there. Also, I don't answer to emails, let alone if you hit me up on Instagram. I might respond, I might not, but don't think I'm not looking at any of your messages. I am. I look at everything, okay? And if I don't respond, it doesn't mean that I'm ignoring your energies. I'm respecting your energies. It's just that I get a lot of frequencies, okay? However, art is occultism. Occultism is a motherfucking art. And you already know that Wayward is about that underground indie type of work and indie type of energy. And you already know that I'm about that revenge, redemption, and responsibility. And you know this channel is all about occult gossip and occult energy and occult functions. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? Because life is an occult. I just kind of been sitting around watching the world. And I was watching some energies, and I had peeped some energies, how people are really going in on some shit. And I'm like, what's happening here, right? And people are going in on the white girl Sydney Sweeney for American Eagle. They have created a campaign of white supremacy. It's the belief. And I'm looking at the psychology of it, and I was just talking to a spiritual constituent about it yesterday. And I'm trying to tell the millennials, look, they playing in your face. We understand that it is a projective programming. We understand that they are creating a cyber projector energy. But you can't go for it because they are pushing the envelope and using recycled psychology. They want to create, they want to, how can I say, take data. They want to take data on your emotions. They want to understand your subjective and objective feelings so they can keep pushing the envelope. I keep saying to the individuals, look at the Brooke Shields ad for Calvin Klein. Then you will understand the American Eagle ad. People out here creating fake outrage. You have black men pushing the envelope of calling themselves the consciousness. Talk about, well, they're making this white girl the pure. We know that white people ain't pure. Why are we still going for this bullshit? It's the same old psychology. But this is what happens when we have energies of millennials and Gen Zs who don't study the past. I crack up because they keep playing games all the fucking time. They're just projecting the shit and then collecting data. This has all been about data, right? In our universal soul as women, the one thing I can agree about as being a woman is that men don't like us. I had to go back and peep the men in my family. I said, ooh, I don't think they like the women in the family. I'm being real. I had to go back and think about my brothers. One sucked his thumb, the other one sucked his fingers. And they were adults. That's an issue. And I just kind of analyzed the men. And I said, which includes my uncle. I said, very interesting. I look at men across the world and watch their behavior. I walk into other cultures of men and watch their behavior. I've seen Chinese men, witnessed it, drop kick they women and fuck them up. I've seen Vietnamese men slap the fuck out they women. I've seen Latino men threaten the fuck out they women. And we don't even talk about black men. White men, they just hate they women. Indian men be slapping the fuck out they women. African men do the same. So can we just come to an agreement as women that men don't like us? Men don't like us that much that they'll have sex with each other. Men don't like us that much that they will create a campaign for sperm retention. Men created eunuchs. Men created concubines. Men created homosexuals. Men created bottoms. Men created species like you and I just because they didn't want to fuck us that much. They hate us. They hate how we live. They hate our total existence. And that is why I said we have to understand who we are as women first. We don't know what it is to be a woman because we have been in the realms of a man and in his world and in his mind and in his vision. Even I have sons, and sometimes I battle. I have to battle to be a woman. I have to battle to be a mom. I don't understand one bit why a woman would ever want to be a stud or a dyke. Why would you ever want to emulate the aggressor? Men are perverts, they're sexual deviants, they're hypersexual, they're mentally imbalanced, they throw tantrums, they are just not good people. And when you can understand that, then you can move forward. Now, I want to get to the Psyops. I've been doing a lot of research about this. There are more men in the world than women. You would never know that because they create a programming to make you believe there's more women. In the black world, there used to be more black men, but they killed them, murdered them, then incarcerated them, and then the black men decided to go eunuch and homosexual. Okay? So, of course, it makes it appear there aren't any black men. I studied different eras of black men a death. War took out black men, but also orchestrated gang violence really took out black men. I'm talking about in death. I walk through cemeteries and I see headstones of men, and I'm Gen X, a hell of a lot of men of Gen X, especially black men that didn't even get to live their full life. I was flipped out one time when I walked across a headstone with a picture on it, and a brother had on a double goose coat and gazelles, and he died in the late 80s. I said, oh wow. You see that a lot. Then you see a lot of deaths of Gen X in the 80s and a lot of Gen X, especially in the 90s. What is scary, there's a lot of Gen Z deaths. More than millennial. Millennial deaths is from HIV. I'm going to say AIDS. I'm tired of the HIV. I'm going to say AIDS. And if I say AIDS, I'm ignorant, but you know that I'm saying HIV at the same fucking time. Because I just want to give it its real name. Right? So in the millennial world, you have a lot of men dying of AIDS. Then in the Gen Z world, is a lot of gang shit, just random murders. And then you may get some who die of AIDS. Men. There's more Asian men. There's more Latino men. There's more white boys. You're not even tripping. There's more Islamic men or Muslims. Indian, Pakistani. Stop playing in our faces. Then let's really kind of turn the work around. During the times of the supposed border patrol, you people said, how come all of these men are coming into the United States? We got a little bit off track because we automatically said military type men. I'm going to suggest this year you guys go to your gun shows if you can, and just kind of peep who's in there buying guns, because I tried to warn you before that a lot of these immigrants are coming into America and buying guns. Asian men buy guns. Japanese, Koreans, and Chinese men buy guns. Then you're wondering why they shooting and killing at your ass, because they automatically give them guns without delay. Okay? But I can tell some of the dealers, the gun dealers, are like looking at them and they don't be wanting to sell them guns. But however, you have to remember there was a time that they would kill females. So therefore, it caused an overdraft of men of other frequencies, Asians and so on, to need women. I was talking to a spiritual constituent. She pointed something out to me that I was like, And it was about the Muslim men. And apparently, there's more Muslim men than Muslim women. And supposedly, this is coming from a military man that's saying that them men be horny and wanting to have sex because they don't have women. And a lot of them are single, but they are hypersexual, and that's why they are so aggressive towards women. So could it be because these Muslim men are hypersexual and need to release? That's what also caused the aggression. Okay? However, that makes a lot of sense to their sexual deviancy of these lady boys and that hidden circle and all of the energies of them liking boys because there aren't enough women. And do you notice where there's not enough women, there's always something jumping off homosexual? And the funny thing is, the more that there's sexual aggression and there's men around, the more that there's a hatred towards women. Look, I've been researching this and the psychology of it. So when they let all those individuals into America, those men are looking for women. They went and spreaded those men out in the universe to also look for women. Notice, so we want to go back to that place they call Africa. If you notice, they let loose a whole bunch of men in Africa. Not their own men, but other men. They let loose Indians, they let loose them Chinese, and they let loose any other mixed company in Africa to have their way with the African women and men. I'm learning more and more, especially about them West African men. Oh, they with the shit. They like some homosexual stuff. I was cracking up because I'm finding out there's a thing called cyber threesomes. Okay? They want to watch a dick. They want to watch certain things going on. There's certain things going on over there, right? So they didn't got caught up. We used to believe like, oh no, that's not African men culture. Are we sure about that? Are we sure about that? So we just have to look at men as a whole, that they are warlocks, and they are Moses, and they are the staff and the rod, and they don't like us very much. And it's not an energy of us, being with each other. It's the fact that we have to understand some realities. And we also have to understand, why are all these men going into those countries? Why are they here? Because they're looking for women. It's more than freedom. They're looking for women. They didn't sat up and told them, go and find a woman and be with. They went and rampaged Italy. Everywhere they go, they're hooligans and brutes. And these are men who are poverty. It is disgusting to see Chinese men buy Ethiopian and African women. It's weird. And they try to make that shit right. It's weird to have white men to be kings and whatever in a fucking village. And I'm saying all of this because we're in Revelations. I had to go back to Revelations and understand the eunuchs and the gooks and goblins. Revelation very much speaks on about what is happening here today and the cyber control that we are under. It also gives us a view of men. I went back to understand who in the fuck were they talking about really in Revelations when they were when they were explaining the black man. If you really look at it, they was not explaining no black man. They were explaining the Antichrist. Even further, who were they explaining? Because they still explained this energy in an energy form and told you the Son of Man. Not the Son of God, but the Son of Man. Who is the Son of Man and who is man? And who is this eunuch or homosexual or Hindu energy? When they really started to break it down, I'm like, are they describing a Hindu man or Indian? All this time, black people probably thought, because it's so metaphoric, because they want to give you metaphors, but I want to keep it layman. Is that an Indian man, bronze and copper? We would never think that, right? But in very much so, it also sounds like the energies of the original Indians. The ones that were really dark, black, kinky hair, and their eyes were red like fire. I think we need to understand they're literally pulling the Old Testament, the New Testament is kind of talking about India. Something switched off and we're not seeing it. Something not making sense. And white men are infatuated with India. I wouldn't be surprised or shocked that as they were rewriting the Bible, some white man wrote his boyfriend who's an Indian. And the Bible, Revelations, the New Testament, is a dedication to his boyfriend. And what they did was mix up story tales that were ancient and then created something from a distance. When they say the Son of Man, that's like a third party. Because in Revelations, that's when they start explaining the cities and the country. We're talking about bears and eagles and dragons. If we get out of ourselves for a moment, why can't we understand that somebody then wrote about their gay boyfriend who's Indian? And we're wondering why these Indians are being pushed on us? Because they have us in the New Testament. And the New Testament honors these Indians. And the man that they're describing in Revelations is an Indian, is a hybrid Indian, or is it? Because it sounds like the people, what they call the Bo language, or the Boa people, BOA. Just put in the Bo people of India, who are basically, I think they're extinct, allegedly. But it's very suspicious because a lot of their features look like a lot of these pictures that we see that's supposed to be from the Holocaust, or aka slavery. Revelations is talking about the cyber world. Revelations is talking about cults. Revelations is talking about how to be a tyrant. Revelations is talking about enforcing people to believe in something that they don't want to believe in. Paul act just like today. You a witch, I'm a witch, they a witch, we all a witch. Paul, who was Saul, says it all. Peter and John are fucking gatekeepers of Jesus. They are cult leaders. The apostles is nothing but these men. The Son of Man that was described is nothing but these Indians. And that's why the Spirit in the Old Testament tried to warn us. Because in reality, it still went out of control. Because after Jesus' death, things get real iffy. And it shows you that this person that they call Jesus is a gatekeeper. That's why I said there were two Jesus. There's the Christ and Christ. The Christ is the woman, but Christ killed the woman, crucified her, perpetrated, became a eunuch and a homosexual behind it. Hated her that much, right? So we just have to kind of understand what's going on in the universe. Due to these behaviors behind a man, we have a focus group. We talk a lot about secret societies, but we never talk about secret societies. We have to observe the world. I want to put Black women first and talk about our men who are the Psyops and ops to us. Our Black men have a hatred towards us, but it is a learned hatred. It is a learned hatred that was brought to them by the Moors. Moors, not Muurs. Okay? It is a hatred that taught them to basically infiltrate the works and the spirituality and the occultism of the Black woman, because they felt they can do it better. They were told, your woman should never be leading anything. Your woman should never know work. Your woman shouldn't know shit. Right? So we have to understand a lot of these energies that's going on. Our black men have always been psyops. They always wanted to be the white man. They were always jealous of other cultures. They were jealous at the simple fact that these people come in with their own religion, their own created religion. When you start to study the different cultures of melanated people, and I mean black women, we've always led the spirituality. We've always led with occultism. We've always led the tribe. But a colonizer came in and said, what you doing? Why are you letting them bitches do that? And then created a whole programming. Okay? So therefore, we have in other cultures, they are held hostage. White women are held hostage. Indian women are held hostage. Latinas are held hostage. Asian women are held hostage. Black women wasn't held hostage. In the black culture, I've seen some things with black women, with black men and their sons and their grandsons and so on. And these men are out for vengeance. But the bottom line, men want wisdom without faith. They want to rule without wisdom and faith. They want to tell you there's no such thing as faith, is what you see, is what it is. There is no faith. That's why you have women working the spiritual realm, because you need all components. But when you have another energy trying to transform and make these men conform to a certain mentality, it creates psyops. Everything that happened is due to man. Everything that happened is due to woman giving man even power. Because men are not supposed to be taught certain things because they're out of control. They're a man. Right? So as we going forward and we watching these frequencies, it has created a jealousy even among women due to male behavior. These focus groups that they have that are psyops, that are hidden, that are secret societies, are ruining the black man and the black woman. And it is basically disabling us financially in our mental state. It is all a cyber projector. It is a cyber programming. We want to look at another sector of secret society. I found something very suspicious when they did a number sense system or a surveying and data output of how many black women have lost their jobs in the workplace, especially federal, state, and city. And the people reporting it are mixed company women, white women, Indian women, and so on, explaining how black women have been terminated and laid off. I found it very suspicious. You have to understand, they don't want to admit it, but they are very much obsessed with the black woman. The reason why they're obsessed with the black woman is because the black woman is the Lord, is the Most High, is the God. I don't care how you put it, where you put it, it is what it is. Black women are the backbone of the whole motherfucking world. I don't care what country you're in. I don't care what it is. It is disgusting how they create these psyop ops of African women talking shit against the American black woman. I was disturbed when I heard The woman from Ghana talking so much shit, talking about black women are jealous and all of this mess. Black women are not jealous of no African woman. What it sounds like, there is a misrepresentation of us wanting your men. It is the fact that they're pushing black women to Africa. I don't know why. I think it's a trap. Black American women will soon to realize that African men ain't shit either. So trust and believe is what they're telling these women. And there's an assumption. They say that African women are beautiful. You are. You have beautiful shapes. You do. But so do American black women. We just fucked our shapes off because we decided to be eunuchs. Not you, but eunuchs. It's so petty, but it's very much important. You guys are having very much health issues in Africa. You guys over there eating pastas. You're eating spaghettis. You're eating starches and breads that's causing diabetes. What are you talking about? Okay? So the bottom line, what are we working with here? And I remember her saying something that if America is yours, then why don't you have any money in your likeness? The same reason why you don't own Africa. The same reason why everybody run over there in Africa and railroad it. The same reason why the women get sexually assaulted by other culture of men. The same reason why your presidents basically throw you under the bus. The same reason why Asian men coming in owning the land. The same reason that Indians coming over there stealing all of your projects, stealing all of your science, and then embedding themselves within your village and then talk about they're African. The same reason why white women going over there killing your babies and shooting them with needles and pretending to be in love with your children and hate them and feeding them slop, but going over there fucking your men and having hella kids. The same reason why missionaries and court people change your religion and change who you are. The same reason why you have scammer ass niggas out there pretending like they're showing men or showing people how to do spell work. The same reason why in some of the countries, if you have twins, they go and kill the other twin or put them in damn the orphanages. The same reason why you guys have a whole dope issue going on in Africa. Synthetic kush, trank, crystal meth. Same reason. I hope that answers the question. But this is the shit that we're fighting against that we don't realize. It doesn't matter if you're African, Caribbean, European. I don't care if you're in Ireland. Black women. We are the power, but we don't know it because we've been beat down by our men. Okay? Period. So when I'm looking at all of the energies circling around, I'm like, okay, there's something going on. So I had to kind of walk down the rabbit hole. I didn't fall, but I walked. Almost like Willy Wonka, when he was on the trolley. They were on the little boat trolley, and you just kind of was going psychedelic. More and more, I'm watching these third-party people watching us. Social media was a cold game and a cold frequency and a cold psyop. One, they fucked us over because they used our men to remove religion from us. Meaning this, the black men coerced black women to get out of Christianity. In some cases, black women needed to stay in Christianity. Not this new guerrilla shit, but on some real shit, or at least do a form of work. Doing a form of work is not fucking around with Orishas. Doing a form of work is not getting under a man. Doing a form of work is not practicing Hinduism and yoga or Egyptian care. Because every time you look, if you mention, hey, why are you practicing yoga? It's black anyway. You don't know what the fuck it is. You're lost. That's why the white people are laughing at you, because they're saying they don't even know their culture. You're practicing someone else's culture. You're literally out here trying to create a cult group under a practice that's not even barely used anymore. That's why I was saying to y'all, oh, that's what they all been under all that time. I don't believe one bit Tina Turner was doing Buddhism. I believe they told her before you could become famous again, you got to pretend to do this Buddhism. You got to get into Eastern cultures. They're literally mounting Eastern cultures on black women. That's why I told you all this time you guys thought it was Satanism. They wasn't practicing no fucking Satanism like that. They was up there practicing those dang Hindu gods and mounting that shit on them. Okay, so when I talked about Beyonce, like Sasha Fierce and all that, that was a damn Hindu. And so how she's invested in the whole gay world, oh, that was Hindu. A lot of gay people are interested in Hinduism, especially eunuchs and homosexuals. You gotta walk the trail. You have to understand, if black men don't like us and they have a hatred towards black women, white women, Indian women, Asian women want freedom, but they don't have freedom and they have to get married. A lot of them don't even know what it is to be a single mother. Okay? And really be out there doing it on their own without complaint. Black women have always had to be out here alone and handling our business. How can I trust a white woman who is so angry at her husband for having sex with the woman who did not want to sleep with him and have children by him, that she killed the kids? She has a hatred. She has such a hatred towards the black woman that anything that comes out of her vessel, she kills it. How do you get into feminism in knowing this? How do you get into feminism with a white woman when she was the main reason that she lobbied with her white man and complained and said, I need somebody to wash my dirty drawers. These black women are not coming to work anymore because their men are actually taking care of them. Look up that history with that. With black men going to war, working and so on, and wanting their wives to stay home and be mothers. And then after that, they lobbied against the black woman, wanting her to come back to work. How dare someone of third party frequency sit up and create a data research on us? They're literally using mathematics to collect data. So how do you trust a white woman? You can't. And how do you trust an Indian or anything that's underneath a white woman? They are considered white, if you want to call them white privilege or honorary white people. So they're out here having these focus groups of third world motherfuckers who don't know English. A lot of them are Indians. A lot of them are basically engineer, chemists, or doing statistics, economics. And they're studying our culture. They're coming from third world India, sitting in a focus group among other Jews and some Asians, figuring out a way to disenfranchise the black culture for black women. They understood enough by watching to bring down the black culture. You got to bring down the black woman. This shit has been happening for years, and they have done their study for years, and they have created, and I say they, But the they is the secret society focus group. They have you guys distracted with the Rockefellers and all of that bullshit. But no, 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 no. You better understand who's really working behind closed doors. We up here, I will talk about the secret rich society and they're running the world. No, 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 no. You better look again, because these people are up in people colleges creating different type of database, systematic energies to put in place in America. They're figuring out ways to disenfranchise and harm the Black community, because they understand that we are the backbone of the world. And they are so much of a hater and jealousy, they are willing to put different wartime frequencies in place. So they study. When I heard this Indian man who owned Louisiana chicken and said, well, you know, the Afro-Americans, they like their rice and chicken. I heard his ass say that up in the damn bank. I said, oh, they study you. They study everything about you. But we are too dumb, too silly, too blind, too fucked up to even get it. They study your wealth. They study your prestige. They study everything about you. And you guys don't get, if you are that much of a study, then who in the fuck are you? They sit up and tell you that you're a slave, you are a free slave. You are never a free slave because you ran the land. You have so many people that they talk about from the 1700s that were educated. What is this? Spencer, I forgot his first name, but last name Spencer. I think he was born in 1783. Talk about he was a free slave. He wasn't a free slave. He was a man who created education and more out of Delaware. When I look for it, I'm going to read it to you. So what the fuck are we doing here, right? So the bottom line is that as I'm rolling through the system, I'm looking at their data. They created TikTok and social media to watch you. Instagram and all of that. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter was to watch Black people. And then society came after that. That TikTok and Instagram fucked us up. Even I would put up, but mainly videos of us going to concerts, but it was really for research purposes. But when Black people got online and started to reveal their life, that was the worst thing you can ever do. They understood the Black man, they understood the Black woman, but they understood the Black woman is the one with the money, because the Black woman is the one who is really motherfucking traveling. See, the passport bros and all them niggas, they were traveling broke. Black women travel with money. So they figured out a way, what's going on here? So therefore, as Black women, we got online basically chronicling our lives. So we'll show when we get up in the morning, we'll show us doing our children's hair. Our kids may be going to private school. We'll be putting our kids through college and everything. And they're wondering, how are they doing that without a man? Anyway, Black men had a big issue about that. So then the next thing you know, they hyped up the conscious community even more. But the conscious community wasn't conscious. And I'm saying it in very general, very layman, because it is a whole cult cartel that was involved. They trained and pushed these men to push up on Black women, successful Black women, get with them. Some of them dead. Some of their finances are fucked up. Their credit is fucked up. Their minds are fucked up. Put them on these weak ass vegan and starvation diets. Then connected with niggas that ain't shit. The Black women neglecting their children. But as long as they have some money and weave, that's where it is. And that's what it showed. Black women showing their life. They're going on vacation. They're going to Jamaica. They're getting their hair done. They're getting their lace fronts. They're doing all of this. They're getting braids and they're just putting their whole fucking life. And they created the data. So let's go look and see where Black women are working. Oh, federal, state, and city. Doge, let's create a cult called Doge. Let's get Trump back in office. Let's cause a white supremacy movement. Meanwhile, we're going to move in Muslim energy. We're going to give their men a bone. We're going to give them their men Islam. And we're going to help them persuade their women out of the money that paid them. And we're going to give them the energies and change of religion and make them believe that they are so connected to the spiritual realm with Santeria, Ifa, yoga, they'll forget about what really made them, really made them money. Because they are not going to be, how they say, to pay the cost to be the boss, not anymore. They're going to be just like us. And then we're going to give the Psyop men what they want. We're going to give them polyamorous, common law, and we're going to have their women come back to them. So what we're going to do is basically deflate their income, basically lay them off, terminate them, rewire them by putting them under a different energy of trade. They can have their masters, they can have their PhDs, shit, they can have their bachelors, but we're going to basically dissolve positions that they would even think about getting into and make it so difficult that they can't get a job, that what they will do is basically be re-careered, retrained, and then we're going to give them a trade. And then after that, we're going to make sure that they are so financially strained that they may lose their house, lose their life, lose everything, including take their kids out of private school, just struggle. And then what we're going to do is put them in positions that we are on top of them, make them lose their motherfucking mind. However, they will be so desperate for a man that they'll marry a Pakistani, they'll marry an Indian, they'll marry an Asian, they'll marry maybe even a no good ass nigga that's not good for them. How about that? And then, matter of fact, let's fuck with their housing. So we're going to burn down different parts of the world, different parts of California, and different parts of course, Texas or whatever, do what we do. And then we're going to rebuild it. And then we're going to have low-income housing and have outside investors. And then as we have the low-income housing and prime property, we're going to have it as a template, just like San Francisco, and have build, project-based, based housing on prime land. So it'd be subsidized and project based. And then within maybe 30, maybe give it 40 years, we're going to come back and say, get the fuck up out of here. Matter of fact, tear down these projects, subsidize, or we are not going to continue it anymore. And we're going to mark everything market rent. And that's what we're going to do. And we're going to build luxury houses and more. So therefore, over there in Palisades, we're going to create low income housing, put these broke ass niggas up in there and whoever else is third world. And then we're going to make sure to pay the costs. We're going to pay the taxes and everything else. And then in the long run, we're going to push it and make it into market rent. So then what we're going to have to do is that we're going to have to learn how to restructure ourselves as Black women. So we're going to have to go back into the shipyard effect of doing wartime, that we're working up warehouses and being, in trade, because, Black women, when during war times, they went into the shipyard, they was working in that trade and then later became nurses. So basically, they are restructuring us and dropping us back down into a energy that's not going to work for these type of people because they don't have the mind frame. But how dare someone decide our wealth and prosperity, and we don't have enough sense to catch that they're up here calculating data? So therefore, they have trained these other people about economics, and they're using a mathematical, we're going to say, principles to basically collect data on us. And we didn't see this coming. So the more that we put on the internet, the more that's their data. When we get online talking about our folklore, we this, we that, now I'm very much suspicious of these young ladies getting online. The folklore, this, you don't give nobody no fucking folklore. You don't put your fucking ceremonial altars online. These the dang Haitians, they get on there showing their ceremonies. You have Santeria and Ifa ceremonies. You have fucking preachers on there preaching. Get the fuck up off of there. They're watching your whole world. They Everything was an intention. The pandemic was to be nosy and to bring down an economy. They gave these black men what the fuck they wanted. They had the audacity, then tried to fuck with us, and then create all of these channels on YouTube and all these reels attacking black women. The first one, what's his name? That Sodomite or Sodomore. And the first thing you know, we are this, we're that, we're this, we're that, we're hair-hatted hooligans. But we never thought that nigga was part of the conscious community, but he was. He was a paid actor. Okay, so then I'm like, but I don't understand what's going on. You over here clowning black women at all costs, but they still walking into what the fuck you're talking about. What's happening? Because not all black women are like this. Then it became that black women are too much like men. We are not soft. We are not this. We are not that. Then all of a sudden the psychology became, oh my gosh, that's why the black man don't want me, because the black man, he don't have it for you. Why are you even, like transforming and conforming to his bullshit? He ain't got it for you. Okay, it started with that. Then after that, you start getting the whole, I'm going to call it the conscious energy of motherfuckers out here talking about, well, you don't have to date American black women. You could go to third world women. Colombia, Dominican Republic, all of that. So it was that push. Then we already know what type of culture celebrates pimp, being a pimp. From gorilla pimping to iceberg slim. What the fuck are we talking about? I look at old school movies and shit, especially Italian movies. Those are very hypersexual and very brutal. I look at some Japanese movies. Those are the same way. Ours is black exploitation, pimping and pandering. What the fuck? How do you sit over here talk about black women are low class and hair-hatted hooligans and ghetto, go with third world, but you keep creating an atmosphere of pimping? That's a study. That's crazy. How do you get under a cult and a ranch that facilitates you to get pimped and pandered and pushed out? Tubi is all it. We got all these black women in supposedly Ifa, Santeria, and yoga and whatever, and mixing all that shit together, wearing a lickays and all that shit around their waist and doing all that weird shit, and then be on fucking Tubi acting gay. Yes, the women on Tubi are acting like gay men. You're not peeping that Tubi is a total porn site for gay black men. Every time you look on Tubi, they want their dick sucked. They want to hit you from behind. They want to choke you. They want to rough you up. And then go give you this energy that they lick in your vagina. You nothing but a gay man to him. So then they played in our faces and then graduated into really creating women are, that black women, basically we ain't shit. We think too much of ourselves. When I heard that Kevin Samuel say that we think too much of ourselves, I said, oh my God. And I heard him call black women bitches, or you think you dead, Then what birthed out of it were more men talking shit about black women. And I thought to myself, I said, any man, any boy, any young man that looks at this and believe what it's saying is a bitch ass. He's not even a bitch ass, he's a bitch. If your man listens to anything that tries to tell him about you, he's a bitch. All them dudes are bitches. All them dudes that sit up there and talk about a black woman is a toddler, he's a bitch. Because black men have shown they are the most motherfucking tyrant haters that you can ever know, having a fucking tantrum. all because they feel they can't have control. And due to them having a tantrum, this is why a lot of this shit is happening. And we need to stop and we need to stop being afraid to say you a bitch. On real shit. If you catch your son watching that shit, you be like, are you a bitch? What you doing? Because if you're a mother, you got to remember, you got to be in the household with him. And he looking at that shit. Especially if he doesn't have a father in the house, he's going to look at that as his father. That's the new gang. You don't need to go fight up in the streets with a gang. That's the gang. That's the cyber gang. He ain't listening to you. He's listening to the cyber gang. And the secret society knew and researched how to pander towards those frequencies, towards our youth, towards our men. So they'll sit up and blame, well, black women look at you, but not all black women act like that. And to be honest with you, that's even fucked up for the hood girl, because I know too many hood women that don't act like that. That whole weave shit, I don't know if that was Texas or Chicago, and they had and they shut down the weave shop. I said, oh, that was propaganda. Then that's they said, look at them, they want that weave. You guys not peeping? There's like stereotypical propaganda on social media, and you don't think there's a fucking secret society that's pushing that shit out? The mail woman who had her children in the mail truck, you didn't think that was interesting? Do you understand that man walking up to the truck? That's a federal offense. Did anybody catch that shit? They study us. They collect data and do experiments on us. What you talking about? If you don't understand, black women, that your men are psyops and ops, I don't know what to say. You got to put them on the shelf. And if you don't understand that all of that conscious community and all of that religion shit was just game, I don't know what else to say. Because what I will say is they are definitely trying to dig in your pockets. Like I said, when my spiritual constituents pointed out to me that they're creating something called niche, so you could chronicle your daily life from the time you get up to the end of the day, you stupid as fuck if you ever put your shit online. Because they're trying to find a way to basically end it. Why don't you think all the bars and clubs are dead? Life is dead because we have a specimen that's in an energy saying, let's just shut everything down. They can't have shit. You're not seeing that? These people are studying to how to cause your kids to be dum-dums. Do you understand that's why the educational world is fucked up? Let's just kind of go down the line, because again, this is some shit, right? Because in my opinion, when I really started to peep it, I said, how come we don't do a panel on all these people? I want to know the panel on Indians, Native Americans, and Jews. I want a genealogy panel done on them, because I want to know who they are. Because I'm wondering, are you the people who was in the medieval painting and you came from the flying saucer? In the Bible, they talk about there was a flying saucer that dropped off people. Are you the dragons? Are you the gooks and goblins? Are you the three-headed dogs? I want to know who you are. Right? Let's go down some frequencies. And let's look at distractions. You guys out here tripping with Shannon Sharp because ESPN terminated him and paid out allegedly $23 million. If you don't rethink that shit and understand, ESPN didn't pay anybody $23 million for their woes for some kind of sexual assault. Maybe you guys have to look at it different. It could be a multiple of things. Shannon Sharp may have sexually assaulted someone or been rough in some shit. But how do you know that's just not a humiliation ritual and they're just using the likes of him to really kind of forward the money to something else? More or less, how do you know this is not connected to the pandemic? During the pandemic, there was a lot of BDSM going on. There was a lot of sexual frequencies. That's why you got to be careful of these men. I was looking at, what's her name? Is it what's her name? I'm trying to think. And she had that guy from Black Ink Group on her show. It's something she used to be on the Breakfast Club. And I was looking at I said, damn, you a big, strong nigga that like to get paid. And you like to sit in a cage. And you what the fuck is going on Black Ink Chicago? And I was telling someone, I said, that's that ritual shit. And he allegedly showing him getting butt up and assed out. We don't know what all that shit is. We don't know if what these people was doing in the pandemic. It goes back to Shaquila. We didn't peep what was really going on. We're going to say allegedly. And with all them people that donated to the funeral. Okay. That's what that looked like. How in the fuck this couple, their child head get decapitated when allegedly the mother was giving birth and they get only 2 to 3 mil, and this here is a sexual frequency with no death allegedly, but 23, he was already terminated. Stop getting looped up into that. I was looking at something with Gary Busey. During the pandemic, did we forget he was accused of sexual assault? Then out the blue here in 2025, they decided to harass a man that's incoherent on TMZ fake court. That court looked fake as fuck. He was incoherent. I said, oh, is this in reference to his old case? So now they're going to humiliate him? Because they were doing a lot of humiliation rituals. Okay. Macy Gray is in a fucking cult in a damn farm wearing fucking Trump wigs. I don't know what else to say. They're pushing a scenario in front of our faces, talking about this person named Chris Smalls was some kind of Amazon union worker who was going to Gaza for some reason, but got caught up in Israel. I said, what kind of games is going on here? Who is this man? Then I started reading about him because they already had a Wikipedia about him. And I say he's an embattled rapper who know Meek Mill, so he's in the industry. Born July 4th. Interesting. What a great scenario. So I said, but what's really going on here? Then I start peeping the name Chris Smalls. Then I said, oh, here we fucking go. Are you telling me Biggie Smalls, Christopher Wallace, and see how they play in our faces and create names and create scenarios? Just like now they're saying that Afeni Badu Muhammad her case may be dismissed. I heard that around a round table. The one who allegedly stabbed some woman. They don't even give you real-time pictures anymore. They just give you a picture and tell you that it happened. So they're up here telling us a whole scenario about this person called Chris Smalls with Amazon. I said, oh, please, this shit is getting ridiculous, right? Diana Ross, that black woman right there, She didn't repopulated the whole white community. What's his name? The Weekend reveals that Playboy Cardi is Ethiopian in their Washington concert. Playboy Cardi, the one who is pretending to be a devil worshiper, is supposed to be Ethiopian. We don't know who in the fuck these people are. All we know is that they just come out the woodworks and they be fucking third world. How do we know Ludacris and Sierra are not third world? You don't know what the hell these people are. You may think you know, but you don't know. I don't care what high school pics they show you. I'm being a little suspicious. If I'm hearing now that they have dual citizenship, I'm going to assume that you're part of that African tribe. I don't know who you are. All I know is that the majority of the entertainment world is freaking third world. Okay? Y'all heard about that Ozzy Osbourne, allegedly that they're going to bury him at his home. That's going to be interesting ritual. There's that show called The Conjure Family, and I talked about it before. And they are already getting started. Again, they're helping the database. They're helping to seek information about how Black culture may also receive money or wealth or prosperity. I'm sick and tired of these shows and them putting up these shows, and these are rant shows for them to get in our lives. I feel that they shouldn't be anywhere near our lives or know what the fuck we do. This show is on whack time. I don't give a fuck. You already have hater ass witches, Black witches, who are hating, saying, oh, they over here charging this money and wealth. I don't know what them bitches are doing, because I'm concerned that's a total fake story, and they're working with men. There's always some kind of man behind it, and that's just something that they, sold to, Apple, whatever, and that's where that is. But now you're going to get these supposed watchdogs, and Black women are going to facilitate it because they choose to live broke and poverty and be broke bitches. The bottom line is that if the spirit works through people and the spirit helps these people, then the bottom line is that you can't dictate what wealth or prosperity a person may have. But when you have danger zones like this, like the Conjure family, it brings up a whole other energy and is again giving others, mixed company, a watchdog of what Black people do. We need to stop getting online trying to show our business and our spell work. Me, I do it for marketing purposes, but you're not going to see me doing spell work and shit. The fuck is that? Anyway, but because of shows like this, you're getting new type of Gen Z girls. Let me tell you something about these new type of Gen Zs. You got to be careful, but my focus is going to be under Gen Z females. I've seen Gen Z males, especially the gay ones and homosexuals. They motherfuckers. They always be out there trying to do that candle work. And don't let them get the iliques. Don't let them get the iliques. They'll tear you up with the iliques. However, these Gen Z girls, they are wicked as fuck. And they have no respect. And the funny thing is that the Gen Zs, the new Gen Z females, they have no respect for elders. And these little girls be up there trying to throw spell work at you. And don't let them text you some shit. They will try to intertwine you into some shit that you like, what the fuck? What you trying to intertwine me in? Or be very snarky in their text messages. Is spell work. All they doing is throwing spell work. Because they think they're sirens. They think I'm spiritual. I'm a witch, you a witch. We all witches. And I'm going to be that bad witch and you ain't going to tell me nothing. And that energy is getting into them that they're being beside themselves. How many times that I've went off? How many times that I had to hold my composure? How many times have I heard stories of Gen Z females being on that shit doing that spell work? I was talking to my spiritual constituent. She was telling me about her daughter wanted her so bad to look at sinners. And so she had found out that it's some kind of fad or trend for these Gen Zs to follow some kind of trend in centers to do spell work. And I said, okay. And so she told me that her daughter got behind her and started humming some sinner song. I said, oh, she called herself doing spell work on you. And her mother, my spiritual custodian kind of looked at me with this look, and I said, oh, hell nah. I said, but if you turn around and get their ass and go and whip that fucking Poltergeist 2 on they black asses, and then sit up there and sing that song, God is my holy temple, and go real decrepit on their ass, then all of a sudden there's a problem, since they want to fuck around and find out. And so it's apparently these Gen Zs have so much disrespect towards the elders, and they don't want to listen to any fucking thing. That's the fucked up thing. It's just no respect. And they have a thing that they will literally do spell work, but they don't do spell work on them funds. They don't do spell work on them books. They don't do spell work to succeed. They don't do spell work to go to college. They don't do spell work to make themselves better, but they'll do work on you because they're so disgruntled with their life. Well, make your life better. You doing work? Make your life better. But I'm saying watch them. Watch even the later millennials, watch them too. When they text you, read the text very closely. Just watch them, because the Gen Z, especially Gen Z females, they have a habit of working behind the scenes, but a lot of them are looking at social media, they're looking at movies, they're looking at all of these energies, and they're battling against you. What other energy is very interesting, what came about, is this energy with Carmelo Anthony Carmelo, the hoax story. So apparently and allegedly, they're investigating the family for that GoFundMe, because that whole story is crazy. But the only reason why I'm interested in it, because of Kyron Lacey, the LSU football player that allegedly committed suicide. And I was looking at this person they call Carmelo Anthony's his mugshot, and I found some things very interesting and very suspicious. However, when I really peeped it, I said that is not that Carmelo Anthony, and his mugshot information doesn't make sense. So I forwarded over to a spiritual constituents for them to look at, because they know Kyron Lacey, and they said that is not no Carmelo Anthony, that's Kyron. And I said, oh shit, okay. And then I said, let me know if they're going to have an open casket or a closed casket. I said, that's going to answer my question. So then I got the information that they had a closed casket for Kyron. But what was also very interesting that came about is that his jewelry was missing. And it was, I think one of the pieces was, a chain necklace that was a diamond pendant that said number 2. His iPad was missing, his laptop was missing, and his tennis shoes were missing. I said, very interesting. But we don't ask questions about this because those things seem to disappear. The other thing that's very interesting that came about is that Trump commented and attacked Charlemagne the God and called him a racist sleazebag. And I said, ooh wee. I said whoever is sponsoring Trump, they are a motherfucker, and they have a hatred towards black people and power. So therefore, if they're up there saying that basically you shouldn't call yourself God, that means the black woman better step in and be the God or goddess, whatever you want to call yourself, the Lord that you are, because they're showing you that they keep knocking down the black man. Understand what's going on. And I said, that's a lot of shit to talk. And so, of course, we understand the society that they're trying to create, but understand you guys can't get mad at Trump because it is not him talking. That man is on house arrest. A spiritual constituents forwarded over an energy where they talk about Trump was walking around the White House roof. I said, that nigga on straight house arrest. I keep telling y'all, right? So anyway, I said, damn, he called Charlemagne a sleazebag. Then I bumped into Rosie O'Donnell that said some interesting stuff about him that I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, goddamn, no wonder the world is fucked up. These niggas out here, criminals at the gate. She done sat up and said that he's, breaking different clauses, judicial clauses, political clauses in reference to accepting money and so on. She's saying he blackmailed people. This nigga even got some kind of Trump stakes. She's saying he's a criminal con artist. She's saying he and his family can't even open up charities. Can't even open up charities in the state of New York due to them stealing from the charities. And you guys had the audacity to talk about Black Lives Matter and GoFundMe and all that shit. This nigga was up there stealing from sick children. They say he's taking bribes and also, again, bribe people. He has fake cologne. What the fucks? And then a fake college? I said, wait a minute, what? And I was talking to my spiritual constituents about it. She act like she knew. She said, you didn't know all that? I said, hell no. I'm here in the West Coast. We don't be tripping on that shit. I don't even think the white people over here knew about all of that. If they knew, they knew. I don't know. But I found it very interesting, right? So with all that saying, then I started to be very suspicious with the behavior of him talking about the alleged Trump talking about what you can be, what you can't be, right? So I start tripping because they are really attacking the school system. But remember, I told you it is projecting. It is a programming. It is subjective and objective of the data that they're collecting. So we have people hiding out saying, hey, we don't want any more homeschooling. So what we're going to do is start popping up at their houses. And then we're going to dictate the type of curriculum that we want them to learn. Bullshit. And a lot of that, they don't like homeschooling anyway because they want the money and they want to keep track of your kid. And then they try to build the argument that they feel that your child is not being protected or there's something else going on. And that's why I was saying the conscious community kind of fucked a lot of shit up too, even though, and a lot of these cults. But the conscious community added on to it when they created a society of people starving their children to basically remove certain health ailments. Okay, and a lot of the people is not intentional, but they're following a diet plan that the conscious community have put forth. So a lot of people really be trying to follow this Dr. Sebi energy. But my question is was Dr. Sebi a hack? Because I go back into the 80s and remember his whole frequency was that he could heal AIDS. Then it made me wonder, did Dr. Sebi have AIDS? And the United States government used him as a pansy and movement and then created and put him in place in Honduras or whatever was going on. But did he have it? Because there's too many people out here saying that he was malnourished and underweight. Okay? That's the real of it. So therefore, then why is it that when he died, no one can duplicate his regimen? They try to, but they can't. And that maybe that's because it's really governmental. Like somebody took it. Or is it the flip side that somebody got rid of him to take everything? Like what the fuck was going on with that? But I'm saying it produced a new movement. And it produced a new movement of Black children being malnourished. And what happened is that they're being directed not to take their kids to the doctor due to them being homeschooled, due to them going through midwives and doulas. But you see the Indian women are trying to, rack all that up because they're trying to get rid of the nurses system and then replace them with Indian nurses who also are midwives and doulas. You got to look at it. It's a cold data game. Okay, so then when Black women are taking their kids to the hospital, their kids are being removed out of their home. So we have to be careful. So even in the judicial system, they don't like homeschooling. You see, but homeschooling for our Black kids is the best. I homeschooled both my sons, but my other son is now in school and I see that he's brain dead at times. You know, I'm just being as real as possible. And I see the difference because my first son went all the way through homeschooling. And believe me, I was battled. Put him in school. He need to be around other kids. Da, 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 da. And I will admit, it is some energies with that. But for my black sons, I had to do what I had to do on real shit. Okay. And to be honest with you, with my one that's in school now, that was for the betterment, because at least he has some kind of sensibility being around those kids in regular school. It's a whole process. Then now I forgot, in some state they want to get rid of doctor's notes and then get kids caught up. They just want to find a way to ding you as a parent. The bottom line is this: you may have to go into it and being your own group, being your own cult. Because as long as you under an energy of we the people, they feel they can come at you, okay? Because if you go for an example like the Amish and shit like that, they can't come at them like that. They can't come at Mormons like that because they are a group. They can't come at Seventh-day Adventists like that because they are a tribe and they are a group. But they can come at the cult like that because they're all in confusion. However, what is it, the Shara or Shira, whatever, Shara law? Technically, the United States can't come at them of how they educate their kids, either the Orthodox Jews. My whole thing is with that whole energy of them ringing that prayer over the loudspeaker. I think that's so dangerous because you had American people in the military during the Middle East and Saudi Arabia war. They hated that Allah Akbar stuff. A lot of them snap off and lead into PTSD. So what type of psychological warfare and data testing have they taken that if they keep ringing that up in the air, that can cause people to go psycho? Because then I've heard so much energies from the military men. I've talked to them and they said they can't deal. They said they have them demons just walking around, and every time they play their music, something happens. So you're going to play that in the United States for people to go crazy? That's a cold game, and that's a cold research. That's some data. Some people say it's evil. Maybe y'all should keep that to yourself, because if you're on American soil, there's too many military people who have PTSD. And I'm wondering, is that what they're trying to do? Are you trying to make people go crazy? Very interesting. So therefore, it goes into a whole discrimination frequency of religion, but they keep fucking with the federal frequencies because they have those Khans and Patels up in the federal government now. What I'm wondering, and maybe someone can answer this question, what type of data information we can pull federal, state, and city to see who works in the federal and state and city government. Matter of fact, we need to pull data on a lot of these companies and see who in the hell who's in the seats, because they played in our face. Talk about DEI. DEI has nothing to do with affirmative action. Then you have this white man, what's his name? Let me see if I can find it. You have this crazy white man named Charlie Kirk. He's always talking this dumbass shit about black people. He has a strong issue with black women. He's nothing but a joke. He's just like that. What's that Zoan, the guy that they're going to force into being mayor of New York. He's as this Charlie Kirk. This Charlie Kirk is just like him. I have spiritual constituents who went to Columbia, who knows who that man is because his father was their advisor at Columbia University. And one of them, I said, oh my God, I said, that's him? You don't understand the type of shit we had to do to get her master's and PhD. And his father, the Indian that's going for mayor of New York, Zoran or whatever, his dad was a motherfucker. And how he's basically, I don't know if he's part of or the head of the Afro studies, but it's a lot of Indians, especially in the UK and stuff, who's ahead of the Afro studies. And isn't that a cold game and a cold piece of spell work? And what's even a cold piece of spell work is that you have a lot of Africans that ride with the Indians who are actually, who ride with the Indians who call themselves from Africa. The funny thing is that I believe his father wasn't born in Africa. I think he was born in Africa. I think he was brought to Africa, his father. So these are not the best people. But what she said about him, she said he's a whole joke. It's not real. It's a joke. He's going to get in there, just fuck up. He's a joke. It's a game. And somebody else told me that went to Columbia. That's what this Charlie Kirk is. This is the shit that we're going through. So we need to start taking some kind of, as you guys say, accountability and responsibility to start to do some our own fucking research. We need to build our own database. We need to build our own coalition. We got to see who in the hell is in the government, because it's very interesting when you go back and research Bangladesh and kind of the shit that happened there. You have to do that because here in America, they censored us from the rest of the world. But in Bangladesh, they had an issue where they were losing their government jobs due to, and I forgot what they call it, but basically having a family or having a family, not family guidelines, but like a family connection, right? So notice in the news, you always hear something about a Muhammad, Patel, or Khan. J.D. Vance's wife, she's connected to those people. The ex-governor of Louisiana, he's connected. Louisiana's off the hinges right now. They have a whole bunch of Indian crimes going on. And the Indians that got all the white people caught the fuck up. Sheriffs and sheriffs' wives, they over there doing pill shit. There's shit going on in the universe where black women need to sue these Indian doctors because the Indian doctors are trying to kill them. Okay, they studied. More and more black women are talking about how when they're going to Indian doctors, they're becoming sicker. Some of them are losing their babies. Some of them are losing their fight. They up there either misdiagnosing them or not giving them enough medicine. Some of them, they're doing surgeries on them where they're adding dead cadaver energies. Some of them are having cervical issues. There's a whole lot of shit going on. And all the ladies are talking about that they'll go to an attorney or a malpractice attorney, and the malpractice attorneys are not taking their cases. And it sounds like there's something paid for. In my opinion, they need to sue for discrimination and more, and they need to go federal, and they need to file, and they need to submit a complaint, because that's total discrimination, and it's something against humanity. Okay, because they're up there committing crimes and human crimes. So we have to be careful in this universe in reference to what's going on with these Indians. Just in Las Vegas alone, Indian police cop or police sergeant was convicted on the simple fact that he in Las Vegas was targeting black men intentionally, putting them in jail, making up shit. So they only gave him 4 to 10 years. And he's not even, and they say that technically he's not even born in the United States, and he was already coming in hot with shit. I said, oh, wow. You know what I mean? There's a lot of shit going on. And what I'm saying through all of this, we have to start to look at the loopholes. We have to start to see what the fuck is really going on as American people, as American black women, let alone, because they're on the loose, they're on the attack, and they're finding loopholes to get around you, okay? And so the bottom line, what I'm noticing what's going on is they're not attacking so much the people who are in groups and they consider have a culture and custom. Like Amish people, technically the Puritans and Pilgrims descent, they have a culture and a custom. There's something with that, okay? However, we have to understand the school system. And what I'm trying to say is that the college, you understand how they have devoured and changed the college system in Ivy League. There was a man on social media from UCLA. He's disappeared. They have probably blacklisted him, terminated him by now. And he was talking about how he wasn't paid enough. He can't survive. However, he said here in the United States, he said in some cases they intentionally are not paying the professors their proper salary. To push them into something else darker. He said, I'm not going to sell my soul to basically harm the world and then get paid thousands of dollars to harm people. Then they basically blocked them. I'm hearing another story from many PhD students who were on a grant-based project for their PhD. They have basically dismantled the program in the middle of them in their research and basically not cut the grants, everything out. These people can't even find no other schools to get into. Okay, they're playing a lot of games. So there's a reason why they are dismantling, the Ivy League college system. Okay, because they're pushing it abroad, but they're not letting us know what the fuck they're really doing outside of that. However, there's an energy going on in the universal soul. This is where things get really iffy. As Black women, we are the spirit. As Black women, we practice work. In the last years, they have been saying that if you think you see spirits, if you think you're this, if you think you're basically psychotic or autistic or special, or you have some kind of bipolar schizophrenia, is not real. They even attached it to you going under some kind of emotional abuse, and that's why you believe that you see ghosts. However, this is where maladaptive behavior come in and programming. Do you understand they're pulling black mirrors? Do you understand in different countries outside of the United States, they are literally doing, I'm going to call it spiritual experiments. White people don't have spirit. They look for spirit. That's why they love to go to Africa and India, because these people are looking for spirit. We have to tell the truth. Okay? Indians really don't have spirit. They're very commercial. They're very practical people. However, in Russia, remember the psychology world. In the psychology world, there's an energy. In the psychology world, Germany, the UK, Poland, Russia. So there's an experiment, and I don't know the full extent of it. They're doing soul tracking. They want to track the soul. So therefore, with dead people, I don't know if they're putting in a chip or they're making them swallow something. But what they want to do is track where the soul travels. This is an alleged Russian experiment. And I'm sure somebody be like, no, she don't know what she's talking about. So then one day, allegedly, they got a ding. And apparently they read that this person's soul ended up on a planet far, far away. I said, oh, wow, that's serious. You telling me they think they can do better than the spirit? So they think the science is going to read the spirit and the soul? And I said, these are white people. And I say white people, whoever else is under them, I don't care if they Asian or Indian or whatsoever, you're having a tantrum. That it is psychotic. CERN and HARP makes so much sense. These people are having a tantrum because they can't feel the spirit. They can't see the spirit. They have no faith in the spirit. So they're going to create a scientific frequency to make a spirit. Velocity, physics. And I'm psychotic? I said, no wonder allegedly the earthquake happened in Russia. No wonder the tsunami. As long as we keep doing this shit, oh, we're going to die out here. Because the mother nature is not going to play. Because we're out here saying that we're better than the spirit. We are better than woman that creates it. That's the issue right there. These people know they don't have a soul. Do you know it's so dangerous? They're going to believe out of that dead body they cut out whatever that is and swallow it. That's why we have the Walking Dead. What's the chick that's in Jesus Christ Superstar? And she's getting worse and worse. I said, I don't know what that is, but it's dead. Her Ariana Grande, it is dead. Allegedly. I don't know what that is. We can say it's an alien. We could say all of that. For me, that's dead. Okay? You're not going to keep playing in my face. What's her name? What's her name? Doesn't she date the woman from The Shy? Like, the woman from The Shy, what's she hitting on? I'm trying to understand what's happening here. Cynthia Erivo? They out here playing with us. We have black entertainers entertaining this Indian influencer named Neon. Get him away from black people. They got Jim Jones, the Breakfast Club, all up in his shit. I said, what's his plan to replace Kai? All they're doing is trying to be the new black people. But we should have known, because in the 90s, that's when they start playing all that Indian music and mixing it and sampling it. And I'm not being discriminatory towards Indians. I'm saying I don't fuck with your shit. And this is weird that it's being forced. But we're just examining it. Because like I said, that shit with the parliament in the UK and looking at the round table, I said, this not right. But hearing this shit and they playing with us, trying to make some people believe that you're not spiritual. Do you know they sat up and said that black people don't have a soul? Do you remember that? The other thing that's very interesting is probably in the next 20 years in Brazil going to change, and there's not going to be that big ass statue called Christ Redeemer. It's going to be gone. Because because Mexico, they're probably going to change Mexico again, because apparently in Mexico, what I get out of it is that they're going to build a larger, bigger statue of Christ the Redeemer with a cathedral. I said, oh, they're getting rid of Brazil and Italy and Rome, whatever. Because what I get out of it, there are contractors building up that project, and they went traveling to Ireland. Or to the outskirts like Switzerland and Ireland and stuff like that, to learn the Catholic pieces. And I'm sure they went to Italy and shit. The architecture and the structure. Yeah, it's coming to Mexico. But here's the thing. That goes to show you how the world is. Christ the Redeemer, that's the Antichrist. Because in that case, you should have Mother Mary or the Mother Virgin Mary. That should be the statue, not Christ the Redeemer. That's Antichrist. So they're going to start changing up different countries again. They're changing up something. Because you know the Vatican didn't put out some more guidelines in reference to what are apparitions, deities, and paranormal again. I thought they just did that in 2024. In a minute, Robert F. Kennedy gonna steal all your fucking special need kids and handicapped. They up here collecting data while you up there keep putting your dang autistic kid online staring in the moon and cutting up. All they doing is taking data and gonna figure out ways to take your disabled child. They already doing that. I've been hearing so many stories about through CPS of how they're up there taking disabled children, especially disabled black children, adopting them off and shit, and placing them in homes. And the parents don't even know what the fuck is going on. And some of these parents are innocent. Like, hey, I'm just bringing my child to the doctor. I don't know what's going on. And then automatically they're calling the police. Then the police either arresting or taking the child away. Better watch it. And to be honest with you, we're stupid. Why are we on social media watching special kids act up? That Shay and Bria, we wrong. We should not be watching no children stimming and having the episodes or having their episodes. We shouldn't be watching that. That's bad for our health and our mind. Now we up here special like fucks. We should be collecting SSI and Medi-Cal and Medicaid. We're acting disabled, watching all of that. Have you guys noticed in 2025 hella CEOs are murdered and dead? Have you noticed there's a lot of shoot 'em up politicians? They done shot politicians and their wives and husbands. That wasn't eerie with that American Idol producer, whatever she was, her and her husband being murdered. Have you noticed that black men are killing their wives and girlfriends with their mothers more? Have you noticed black men are killing their children more? Have you also noticed that there's also a certain age group that be up there murdering their babies between the age 18 and 24, and these are black guys? Have you noticed black mothers, especially younger mothers, are murdering their children? You know, was also interesting. Have you guys noticed that there's a global drug addiction? Global. Have you guys also noticed there's a global prostitution ring and it's in front of our faces, and they're really focusing on these little boys, and we're finding little Thai boys are really being sexually assaulted, and they're trying to make people attracted to these little Thai boys and Vietnamese boys. Have you noticed that? Did you see Brandy, was it Glanville? She's the wife of Eddie Cyberin, and he's married to, what's her name? Leanne Rimes. Did you see her face? That's a crystal meth face. It's like is she on some kind of trank and is eating her up? You see Leanne Rimes' teeth fell out. They be on that crystal meth shit, right? JD Vance, he didn't sat up and asked for them to add more levels to some kind of river so he could kayak. What else can they do? He asked the military to do that. You know, there's accusations of JD Vance and his wife. Of course, they're going to Disneyland. Wait a minute, I have a fucking problem. He's on vacation. How in the hell he just started a job and he get to go on vacation for almost a month? If that was us, we'll be terminated or basically denied vacation. Okay? What are you talking about? And even if we do go on vacation, we are afraid that we may not have our job when we come back. Hell no. How in the fuck does he go on vacation? He don't need to go on vacation. Wait a minute. Isn't he supposed to be at work? Wait a minute. Anyway. So apparently at Disneyland, JD Vance's wife is connected to somebody, and there was some Indian couple. Their Indian was accompanied by black gay escorts, and so the person as the black gay escort who does work from Louisiana to do work to get Disneyland. I've been wondering why at Universal Studios and Disneyland I've been seeing a whole lot of Indians. Because now they're up there talking about Now they're up there talking about how over there in Louisiana they're having the gay escorts go over there allegedly, but this is coming out their mouth. The gay escorts to go over there to I think Biloxi, Mississippi, and I guess there's a whole bunch of resorts and casinos to go over there and do alleged spell work to get a hold of all of that. Isn't that very interesting? The same people that say that you crazy for doing spell work and doing your own spell work and call themselves gurus and shit are the same motherfuckers using your black magic, just like they used hoodoo over there in Brooklyn and keep using hoodoo to close down these businesses in Harlem and all of that. Isn't that very interesting? The same people that use Reverend Ike's philosophies, the Indians. White people been doing it. I told you when I seen the Chinese up in the Botanicas or black and using energies of I'm going to say black people magic to get shit done. Isn't it very interesting? Have y'all been tripping, like I said, how they keep calling Trump former President Trump, former? Two reports stated, right? Isn't it very interesting that they have fucked up the whole music industry and culture and the culture of music, and now they're saying fuck Essence, fuck Soul Train, BET's, what is it, BET Soul Train and BET Hip Hop? They telling you what it is, because they have replaced that with fashion. They even replaced the culinary world with all of this fashion restaurants. You guys are not producing nothing. So we don't need that. Where is the new music? Where's the new R&B? Where is the new hip hop or whatever? Where's the new rap? Where's that? We just keep seeing the same recycled tired niggas, Patti LaBelle and everybody else. Nah. Louisiana in trouble. Now they want them to they having, I guess, the second line, right? I don't know when it is, but they came at them at the last minute saying, bitch, y'all gonna need permits. And the elders are saying, this is culture, this is our ancestors. Then you guys should go federal. But then you have other black people saying, y'all don't fight for nothing else. And you've seen the French quarters, how they damaged all of that. You know, all them bad spirits are down at the French quarters because of the murder. But they out here, I guess the different organizations, I guess you guys have the second line energy, and your local political people are trying to intervene. That's because you guys need to follow the money. Follow the money. You'll see who it is, just like with that Paramount and BET shit. Follow the money. And when you follow the money, you'll be hella mad. What the fuck is going on in Philadelphia? What's going on in Philadelphia? I've been hearing a lot of complaints. People about tired of you prison Muslims. Why don't you guys practice what you're supposed to practice over there in Philadelphia, in Delaware? Why aren't you on the Orthodox Hebrew energy? Maybe that's the confusion. You guys over here practicing that third world shit, talking about come home. You're talking come home to what? You are an indigenous person living in America. It should either be indigenous or Orthodox Hebrew. The hell you talking about? It's right there in front of your face. What the fuck is going on with that minimum wage, $7.25? What's up with this autistic shit? Y'all okay? Why are them kids autistic? Are you sure they're autistic? What's up with all these cults and inbreeding and incest? I'm just asking questions. In my opinion, I think y'all should be taking yourself right down there to the Liberty Bell and Benjamin Franklin. Y'all know there's ghosts down there. You know there's evil. Do they protect it or something? What's going on? You can't merge prison Muslim energy with fucking Benjamin Franklin, who was killing people, and the colonials and Quakers. What you doing? The hell you doing? Under the Orthodox Hebrew energy, that means that you're under the energies of Abraham and Sarah. If you don't know. What's going on in Philadelphia? There's an energy going on, huh? There's a protest with hair braiding and Africans in hair braiding. I told you these people watch you. They've been trying to fuck with our culture and hair braiding forever. They've been trying to infiltrate that with white people and Asians forever. Let's say this. In Texas and Louisiana, that was pretty fucked up what they pulled. They pulled a situation where they said that you have to go to cosmetology school to braid hair, which is on bullshit. I never understood why the fight wasn't harder, because they tried to say to you that it's not a protective style and all that mess. In reality, if you're in Texas and Louisiana, it is a protected style and it's under the Crown Act. Therefore, because you're from Texas and Louisiana, you are considered indigenous, okay? Bottom line, I don't give a fuck what anything or anybody say. You are considered indigenous, and it is cultural, and it is connected to the cultural tribes and frequencies of your people. So therefore, it goes into a federal discrimination case in race of religion and crimes against humanity. That's why when I was talking about that second line business, that is considered race and religion, okay? Because sitting up there saying that you got to get permits and all that stuff all of a sudden, and then basically trying to say it's a non-cultural frequency, that's a problem. They're trying to say that anything that we do, it is not of culture. They're trying to ban what we do, okay, and say that it's not ancestral, it's not connected to anything. If the second line business, if it's cultural, that's what it is. But you have to present that to the federal, and you guys gotta have to stick together better than what you're doing, because you're going to local government and they ain't gonna do shit. In Louisiana's crooked anyway, just like they're crooked here. Because when I really started to look at it, I said this, and it's also under exterminating culture and customs, is persecution of a systematic attack against civilians. In addition to, is considered a tyrancy, is a tyrant behavior. So therefore you have to, and it's also abuse of power. So the bottom line of this whole energy is disgusting, because it falls under the federal government, and it falls under of them being discriminatory towards you due to religion and culture and customs and a protective style. Because the bottom line is that in reality, braids was introduced to Africa through the Moors. However, in MORS, so therefore braiding in Africa was considered a hair straightening. That's number one, and it came later in the decades and centuries. However, in the West, which we had the indigenous people, they've always braided their hair, which was connected to culture and customs. And the bottom line is that they make you believe that braiding came from Africa, but it didn't. Okay, it was considered a straightening energy and actually enforced by a certain group of people. Plain and simple. However, where it gets a little iffy is when the whole Holocaust happened, when they to the Caribbean islands, then to roundabout to the United States. It was an identifier, okay? But the weird thing is, where things get iffy, when the hair braiding started, then you got to ask, how long and how late were you stealing people off different continents? How you were stealing people from Africa, you were stealing people from the Caribbean islands, you were stealing people from the United States. So it's all a confusion. But then when we got to the United States, then they was the people, we're not gonna say African, but we're gonna say the ancestors used it as a form of mapping, as a form of transporting. So how I know, because I had to study this shit when I was doing costuming and makeup, and we had to deal with hair. We had to make like former lace fronts. Then I went to fashion school. We just had to learn this shit down to the root. The funny thing is, a lot of those books for you to learn this, they were from those indie bookstores, and they closed a lot of them. You won't find it like at Barnes and Nobles and stuff like that. They give you the very general energy and the surface understanding of hair and black hair and culture. Because back then they used, well, in a primitive, they used to do more dreading, or what I call Afrofuturistic, Afrocentric type of styles. Even stuff like this, or doing it in certain ways. And even cowrie shells are not custom to Africa, to be honest with you. It's more on the Caribbean tip. Okay, so y'all should have did better than this, because we have to understand, with this whole energy of hair braiding, these Africans may not own their shop, and there may be something funneling in. I heard in Louisiana they had to soften some of the frequency because it was so discriminatory. I heard that they had school mandators harassing children about their hair being braided and asking who braided your hair, and tried to send them away. Someone was telling me that their niece had to go to cosmetology school to even braid their child's hair. That is against the law. That is against their federal rights. So I don't know what y'all on and not researching your shit. And they can't come at you like that, especially if you are an indigenous tribe. It is a culture. You guys got to go indigenous on their ass, and not African. See, you keep going African, but you have to go indigenous because you're on the land. So there's certain things that you guys have to research, but that's the games that they play, right? However, the Africans open up all of these, I call them multitask stores, from multitask braiding shops, from them doing nails, hair, food. Well, there's one over here that does regular hair, sells hair, has a school, does nails, and did I say sell food? And they have an attitude problem up in there. And they fucked my hair up so much so that I had to shave my hair off to get the energy. I had to shave my hair off twice fucking around with them. And there's a light-skinned African up in there that keep throwing attitude with me for no reason. Like she wants to fight me or something. I'm like, bitch, do you know me? We what? Because I don't fight motherfuckers, but I will throw something at you and get to stepping. I'm just saying, shit. Just like in the Mission Street in San Francisco, they don't be owning their those stores. It's owned by other people. It's owned by Asians and shit. There's a El Salvadoran restaurant that's not even owned by an El Salvadoran. It's owned by a Vietnamese. There's a candle store there in 24th and Mission, across the street from 24th Street BART. What's it called? Candlelight something. And it was owned by a Korean. Now it's owned by a Latina lady who thinks she's the shit with some fucking elekes. Just saying. Yeah. It should have been a protest. Because you don't know what the fuck is going on. It's not about jealousy of you. It's about our own government working against us through tyranny and giving you guys resources, grants, and income to open up businesses. We got to check this shit out. I'm wondering what is in the energies of Vietnamese owning businesses. What are they giving them? Are they just working with themselves? What's happening? And in reality, they don't even want women to have self-care. They don't even want you to go to OBGYN anymore. They're going to create a way for you not to even go to the doctors, just do your own home health care. They're creating abortion kits. They want you to do everything at home. They don't give a fuck about us. So now they're causing a war between black women and black women. But we all know there's always something behind it. There's a sponsor behind it. Just like I heard in the UK, Amazon had some braiding place in Amazon in the UK. It's bullshit. And yes, there is an issue. But then the Africans cop little attitudes behind the government helping them and giving them resources. But they don't understand that they're here in America, they be over here sabotaging the American black people. Please. Anyway, this is Weird Renegade Witches blog. Hit us up when you want some real motherfucking work done.